honored to kick things off with a welcome note from Jay Pattisall from Forrester. Jay Pattisall is a principal analyst and consultant who specializes in guiding marketing and agency professionals on industry trends, strategy, branding, organizational structure, customer centricity, digital marketing practices, and whatnot. So here's Jay speaking on humans and AI in harmony. The future of marketing is a collaborative symphony. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Rhea. And hello to everyone out there. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. Yes, humans and AI in harmony. It is truly a collaborative symphony. And today I'd like to talk to you about the existential power of and the impact of AI-powered creativity. I'm going to bring up a few slides now. Just waiting for those to come through. Yes, so my name is Jay Pattisall, and I am the VP Principal Analyst at Forrester that covers marketing services. My role at Forrester is to help marketers and our CMO clients understand the marketing services landscape, trends within marketing services, including AI and AI-powered marketing, as well as AI generative, AI visual content technology solutions. We help marketers understand those trends. We help ad tech companies understand how to apply them, and we help service providers and agencies understand the needs of marketers. In short, we operate kind of like a neutral body, almost like Switzerland, because we sit at the nexus of media and technology and business and creativity, and we help our clients be very customer-centric. Now, without a doubt, one of the most powerful developments that we've seen over the last several years and in the most recently throughout 2023 is the introduction of generative AI as a set of business tools. Forrester believes that generative AI will be an important fulcrum for business at large to help enhance and empower and engage employees and customers. But specifically for marketing, we see this as an incredible set of technologies to enhance creativity and enhance creators' ability to volumize, speed up, and improve the impact of their work. Now, for anyone that's kind of starting at some of the basics around this, let me lay the groundwork and show you how we define generative AI. Generative AI is a set of technologies and techniques that leverages a tremendous amount of data through large language models, diffusion models, transformer models to generate new content like text, video, images, audio, code, potentially more. We'll see as things develop. And these inputs can be natural language prompts. They can be a series of trained data, traditional and non-traditional inputs. Basically, you ask it a question and you get an answer, or you get some sort of artifact or output from this technology. And it has been wildfire in terms of its growth. Generative AI has really gone supersonic in that it is estimated to capture 55% of the software market by 2030. That's a 36% compound annual growth rate for generative AI software specifically. But to give you some more context for this type of growth, I mean, we can look at forecast spend and forecast growth curves, but how does that relate to other black swan technology moments? Well, we looked at this moment in relation to others like personal computing or the internet or the smartphone. And what we see is that generative AI with this forecast growth will be the biggest thing to come along in technology since the smartphone. But it's created a lot of questions. And one of the most profound questions when we think about our topic about the harmony of AI and humans working together is the disharmony. The concern that I often get is, and the question that I often hear is, will the machines take over? Will the machines inadvertently take away jobs and get in the way of humans? Now, this is obviously a very existential question that's been well covered in modern technology and pop culture through movies. But if we reflect upon this across history very quickly, I think what we'll see is that a question like the threat of AI and what it could potentially do to harm humans is one that is not new. For example, in ancient Greece, Socrates once said something to the effect of, this discovery of written language will create forgetfulness in learners' souls, because they will not use their memories. They will not. They will rather trust the external written characters and not remember for themselves. So Socrates warned of the harmful effects of written language as a new technology. Now, the irony is that we know that written language obviously did not bring the downfall of human society, and that we are able to even talk about this today is because Socrates wrote down in written language the disdain that he had around technology. Another historical example, when we look at U.S. history, in the United States, the U.S. President Benjamin Harrison was deathly afraid of electricity. When electricity arrived on the scene in the 19th century, many people were afraid of it, and understandably so, and President Harrison was one of them. He reportedly had White House staff go into rooms and stay behind afterwards to turn on and off the lights for him because of the concern. Similarly, the general public in the United States and across the world also had its skepticism of electricity at the time. So another historical example of a new technology development that frightens us and concerns us. A much more contemporary version of this that many of us might remember in our own lifetimes is the Y2K bug that was predicted to be a complete and total doomsday scenario. In 1999, much of the world had some concerns about a programming glitch in which operating systems and mainframes and softwares were programmed with 2-digit dates, not 4-digit dates. And so when we ticked over from 1999 into 2000, there was a great deal of concern that it would crash computer software. Well, obviously, we're perfectly fine now. The doomsday scenario for Y2K did not come, but it was again another historical context of the fear of AI. And as generative AI was introduced into the world, there were similar concerns. An organization set forth, it was a 22-word statement designed to create an open discussion. This was signed by dozens of scientists and academics and heads of industry, saying mitigating the risks of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. So this fear of technology is repeating itself. We've seen this before. And as I said, if we think about the pop cultural context of it, is the world facing Terminator, a movie from the 1980s that depicted AI traveling back in time to harm humanity? Or is it WALL-E, the Pixar movie that reflects this helpful robot that's helping humans clean up the earth and arrive back at more of a utopian point of view? And I think this utopian point of view of man and machine is much more accurate than this dystopian point of view that machines are harmful and are going to take over. And in fact, our research supports this. We looked at the projection and the forecast of the growth of generative AI across all job categories And what we see between 2023 and 2030, and what we see in this projected data is that AI will enhance more jobs than it will replace. And in fact, it will enhance 5.4 times more jobs than it would replace. And in the US alone, AI will influence more than 11 million jobs in totality. When it comes to creative jobs, we see this absolutely being the case. And in fact, we ran a similar forecast to look at the impact of AI and automation across US advertising and marketing jobs. And what we see, if you look at the far right-hand side of the page in this forecast graph, once the forecast period starts, there is not a wholesale displacement of jobs. There is a small degradation. Approximately 7.5% of US advertising and marketing jobs between 2023 and 2030 will be automated, which is a really small percentage if you think about it. The average attrition rate at a US advertising agency and European advertising agencies is closer to 20 to 25% on an annual basis. In some instances, in particular scenarios, it's as much as 30%. So here we're talking about almost less than a third of a natural attrition rate in terms of automation and impact. But that impact isn't only negative. As I said, all jobs are impacted and enhanced, but in advertising and in creative jobs, that's even more so. It's a future of both automation displacements, albeit very few of them, and creative enhancements. And in this analysis, what we did was look at, in the vertical, automation potential, which is the characteristics that would drive job replacement, against generative AI influence or enhancement on the horizontal. And what we see is that based upon different skills and different jobs, generative AI and automation will have a different impact. For some, it will be more likely that some of the skills and some of the things, some of the tasks that they do are in fact replaced. Everything on the left-hand side of that graphic is much more susceptible to automation. These are things like administrative jobs or jobs that require low creative skills. Whereas high creative skills, analytical skills, strategy, computer sciences, some market research, some project management, all tend to benefit from the advantages of generative AI. So on the right-hand side of the page, you're seeing much more of an enhancement or augmentation effect for advertising roles and specifically creative roles. Let me give you some examples. As I said, creative problem-solving roles thrive and more process-oriented, administrative-oriented jobs tend to decline. So, total data scientists, if we start from the left-hand side of the page and kind of work our way to the right-hand side of the page, data scientists and other connected roles that are associated with data scientists, they actually grow. The share grows from 2022 to 2030 based upon our forecast data. As does the share grow for software developer roles from 3.5 to 4.1. Clerks and administrative roles, they drop 7.3 to 5.2. Public relation managers and public relations related categories, they grow slightly, almost a percentage. Managers and connected roles grow. Database administrators and finance jobs remain relatively flat, depending upon the nature of the job. To give you some additional examples, sales roles drop. Creative roles grow. Some market research areas grow. Human resources stays flat. And the administrative and other jobs, vary in their impact. So we've set up a situation in which our natural concerns or fears surrounding AI are somewhat mitigated or muted, because the reality is that generative AI is an improvement or an enhancement. But let's talk about what that looks like in the future when humans and machines are working together to produce marketing and advertising. Many agencies will choose to build, some may buy, but mostly will build and create their own version of a marketing operating system that is powered by generative AI. We perceive that these will be built off of the already existing media technologies and digital platforms that many agencies use to activate media audiences when media planning and media buying. Here's some examples of these, where Omnicom uses the Omni platform, or WPP uses its open platform, and they're creating a series of SaaS-driven technologies that are planning tools for media, or creative sandbox tools for creative, or learning platforms in the form of Publicis Marcel, or audience attribution and measurement platforms for media and other forms of marketing. These things exist today, but what will happen is that they will be put together as marketing operating systems, or something that I call brand AI models, that combine an understanding of inventory, media inventory, an understanding of audiences from third party, first party, all the different parties' sets of data, an understanding of brand by taking some of the unstructured data around the brand, like the style guide, its fonts, its colors, its different IP, the brand voice, the brand look, and synthesizing that into an operating system and a model as well, and then leveraging very heavily the talent, the bottom right-hand side of this graph, the talent, the people that power this, and there are numerous benefits that can come from this style, or this approach of combining people and technology and data together. Initially, obviously, is task automation. The machines will be able to replicate some of the tasks, and therefore use cases like translating copy, or generating assets, or summarizing insights are tasks that will be replaced. But eventually, as maturity grows and the technology finds its way into the workforce, that benefit in the business case moves from just efficiency and cost into productivity, and less about automation and more about augmentation, with use cases like developing briefs, or drafting initial content or concepts, generating content or generating code. And then as maturity increases, that augmentation develops into more of a full-on workforce re-engineering, if you will. You're working differently as the technology becomes part of the everyday experience. And it's no longer about pure productivity or cost efficiency, but rather building out effectiveness through optimization and being able to use machines and the next best selection opportunity to impact the performance of work and the performance of experiences. And then eventually the machines will learn in such a way that they will make suggestions about what audiences are looking for what types of products or experiences, which will lead to net new growth and a business advantage. So over time, we see the development of proprietary, bespoke brand AI models, leveraging technology and people in combination, as a tremendous asset for both brands and advertising agencies. And our research shows that there's a tremendous amount of interest in this. What we describe and characterize this type of relationship between technology and people is this concept called intelligent creativity. Where the process that we know, the creative process, the development process that we know for problem solving is augmented or helped by AI and machine learning technology, where they're literally working together. So if you think about the traditional campaign workflow, where there is an insight stage, an ideation stage, a design and development stage, a production stage, an optimization, which leads back to learning and then and resetting the objectives. That experience that we all understand intuitively as part of our daily work will be assisted by machines, making things faster, more iterative, more data driven. Let me give you an example of what this could look like. Imagine that you are a media planner. There are a set of skills that are distinctly human, but there are also a set of tasks that can be accomplished by technology. Human task for a media planner, setting the objectives, helping to define and solidify the personas in the audience, mapping the journey, but the technology can develop insights, can identify channels, and can score those audiences and channels against one another. A creative example of this, where very distinct human tasks are applying data to creative and conceptualize the thinking and conceptual development and managing talent, managing people, whereas the technology can translate, can source talent, can scale production velocity. I think you get the idea that there are different skills that can be equally human and equally technology. We have a little term for this as well. We call it the HTE, a play off of the full-time equivalent. We call this the human technology equivalent, where these two advantages, these skill sets, both digital skill sets and human skill sets, are merged together and are thought of as one single proposition. So we're not paying a tech fee for tech hours and then paying a human fee for human services. We're paying a singular fee for the two working together. And we've modeled what that would look like in the future, which illustrates that there is a higher return from an HTE approach, which is the top green line, versus just a simple FTE approach. So I've shown you the incredible growth of generative AI. We've also talked about and dispelled some of the myths that generative AI and machine learning and automation is purely dangerous. Yes, there are risks. Yes, there are concerns. But I think history shows and the data shows that generative AI is more likely to be beneficial to people than it is to be harmful. And then we've shown you what a vision of that can look like, from building technology products inside marketing services companies to leveraging potential new economic models for how we can derive value and help provide more impact and more IP for our clients that lead to a greater return. I wanted to end on one final point, and then we'll open it up for some questions. And that final point is that in this dichotomy of human versus machine, that it's really about humans and machines working on their appropriate skill sets and working together. And we understand this to be the case because the research has demonstrated that automation cannot replace creativity. It can speed things up. It can create volume. It can create precision. It can create scale. There are certain tasks that machines are better at than humans are, but not creativity. And we understand this through our forecast analysis when we looked at dozens and dozens of job characteristics. And I'm showing you 4 right now. And the one that is the hardest to automate is the one in the red box, originality. Or put another way, automation simply cannot replace creativity. So thanks for letting me share these remarks and this information with you. I'd like to open this up now for questions. I will look over at the, okay, we do have a question. Let me read it. It says, considering the exponential growth we expect on newer technologies, how reliable are such forecasts? Google already fired many employees as they believe AI is much more useful and rewarding in a direction. So great point. Forecasts are a point in time. We go back and refresh our forecasts, or at least look at the data on an annual basis to track what our predictions are if they're actually coming to market. So the primary forecast that I showed you about advertising and marketing related jobs, we have gone back and looked at a year's worth of data, and there isn't a tremendous amount of movement. In other words, advertising and marketing roles inside agencies and marketing organizations, that we've not seen a drop. If anything, there's maybe some slight growth in a couple of categories and areas. But you're correct to point towards advertising roles inside tech companies. That is the one area where we have started to notice anecdotally from news reports in which there is some replacement of project management roles and ad sales roles using automated tools. Other questions? Okay, so there's some questions in the chat, I see, and we'll take this one as the last question because we're up against the hour. Does your HTE FTE calculation assume the same number of worker hours, or does the higher return in part come from lower worker hours? Well, it does. It comes from two things. It comes from productivity and employee engagement. When you give employees the right level of productivity tools, they're focusing on high-level skills and high-level tasks, more strategic tasks, and consequently, they're more motivated, and their work becomes more, and they're yielding more productivity, and they're more highly engaged as employees. And the combination of increased productivity and increased employee engagement yields a higher return. So it's really a 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 scenario in which the advantages come together in a chain of events. Well, listen, I greatly appreciate. Let me check if there are any other. Yes, we got a couple other questions in the Q&A. Let's tackle one of these. The question is how can marketing leaders create a culture that embraces AI while fostering innovation and creativity within their teams? Well, that's a great question. It starts with a vision and developing a vision that helps employees understand that the goal of the AI program is augmentation and not replacement. And I think it's about being honesty. There are a great number of platitudes that are out in the marketplace that suggest that job displacement is in no way the part of the plan. You should be honest and be like, there would be some job displacement. There will be some instances in which we find repetitive tasks that people no longer need to do, but we will retrain those people into other areas and help augment their workflow and augment their capabilities with the technology to do so. So a vision and honestly communicating that, I think, is one of the foundational steps to move forward with that. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. And I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the conference and the content. It sounds like a fabulous set of content and activities, and I'll hand it back over to Rhea.
Thank you, Jay, for that inspiring session. Wow, that was incredible. The way humans and AI can work together to create such a powerful and transformative marketing symphony is just mind-blowing. It's truly exciting to see how this harmony can really amp up our marketing game and push us to new heights.